I'm in pursuit.
Hey, how you doing?
I just got out of Captain America. It's time for me to lie down on these train tracks and truly just end it all.
I hope you're doing well. What in the ever Hulk and Harrison happened here, man?
I'm still speechless.
I actually thought Captain America Brave New World might be good. Hell, great even. I love Anthony Mackie. I will always sing the praises of Falcon and Winter Soldier as, for the most part, one of my favorite MCU projects in recent years, and the Captain America films outside the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy are by far my favorite solo movies. And I adored the complete seriousness and paranoia of the marketing. I like how different Brave New World was feeling, like they were trying to recapture some kind of magic, the magic of Winter Soldier. Little did I know that we get a movie that has no magic, that has no soul, desperately prancing around wearing the skin of Winter Soldier, wearing the skin of a political thriller, wearing the skin of a movie that has anything meaningful to say. I don't even know if you can call this hacked together, reshot corporate cover-up a cohesive movie. If movies are expressions, this expression had 22 days of reshoots that were most likely conducted because the producers were too scared of saying, showing, analyzing anything politically radical or meaningful.
Adamantium.
If movies are narratives, this narrative was rewritten 22 times until it had absolutely nothing to say.
Adamantium.
Brave New World has nothing brave to say, nothing new to express, and actively undermines, undersells, even regresses the character of Sam Wilson, and sings its broken tune right into the echo chamber of the grifter basement dwellers who will use this as fuel to scream,
"Not the real Captain America."
Great job, Mickey, you little chuckle fuck. Jesus, man, I hate being mean, not to the mouse, fuck that guy, but shitting on anything that artists work their asses off on, it sucks, it irks me, it's easy. I like being pretentiously whiny.
I just watched Spider-Man Far From Home, and I feel sick.
I like trying to elicit an emotional response talking about the things I love and being called cringe in return. I like that because it comes from a good place, but with Brave New World, I'm rubbed so the wrong way by how spineless it is that I can't write this shit from a good place. So here goes a ramble about why this movie is mostly a train wreck, a catastrophe, a sickly, cynical mess. An emotional breakdown about how this movie fails the character of Sam Wilson, fails the character of Captain America, and fails you. But before we Captain America jump off a jet plane, spiraling down right into the bosom of General Thunderbolt Thaddeus, Thunderbolt Everett, Stash Ross. Did you guys miss the stash? I did. But hopefully the good old General got that fresh and clean shave using today's sponsor, Manscaped.com. I know you've heard of them, and that's because Manscaped is the industry leader in electronic shaving tools and trusted by over 11 million dudes, myself included. Gentlemen, Hulks, it's time we talked about stepping up your grooming game without stomping over your damn wallet with Manscaped's The Chairman Plus Electric Foil Shaver. It's got 2 interchangeable blade heads for a smooth, skin-close face shave with the ability to craft your look. We got the 3-blade foil shave as well as the precision trimmer attachment blade head, which is perfect for those finishing touches. You know what I hate genuinely? Fucking razor bumps, itchy, painful little pests. But with Manscaped skin-safe technology, the Easy Glide stainless steel blades help reduce all that irritation. It's like being tucked into bed with their Flex Adjust technology that adapts to the shape of even the most messed up face. This bad boy is waterproof, requires no shaving cream, and has 60 minutes of high-performing battery life with a 5-minute quick charge feature. You can be in and out of that bathroom mirror lickety-split, looking and feeling fresh. What more could you want, man? It's past time we ditched our messy and time-consuming shaving routines. Use my promo code HiTop Films for 20% off your entire order plus free shipping. And guess what? If you don't like it, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you got nothing to lose. 20% off, free international shipping. That's code HiTop Films at manscaped.com. Upgrade to the Chairman Plus today and experience a shave as smooth as you deserve, King. Thanks, guys. You know, let's start off with something nicer, something simple. Things high cuck like. The color grading for the most part did not look like a puke bucket after a drunken night out. There was contrast for the most part. There was an idea of where to place the camera that wasn't entirely beholden to how to frame for a fast VFX turnaround for the most part. But still, you can tell at one point in this process, the director, Julius Ona, had a vision for how to make the world surrounding Sam feel untrustworthy. There are these weird but cool angles that were clearly trying to elicit a feeling, which should be a fucking standard for any movie, let alone one that costs as much as 14 normal movies. But after getting movie after movie that looks like The Void and Deadpool and Wolverine, most of this was a pleasant visual switch-up movie. The Frogger, the leader. I have no idea why Marvel thought the casual audience member would remember Mr. Blue, Samuel Stearns, from his 12 minutes of screen time in a film that came out almost 20 years ago, but alas, I love what Tim Blake Nelson was bringing here. Menace, a bit of camp, a healthy dose of tragedy. I hope he comes back in a script and film that isn't stitched together with a thread as thin as my will to live. Anthony Mackie is always great.
All the beers are on me. Where we going?
He's the blood flow and the soul of this. He seems dedicated even when it's clear he's being called back to set months after they finish to help make this story work.
This is check central. Cut the check. Earn your money. Cash the check.
Harrison Ford does not seem as asleep as I thought he'd be.
Taking money and having fun.
I think by a long shot, he's the worst Ross, simply because, and I truly mean this with the most respect, he does not give a single fuck about any of this shit.
It was ridiculous.
The character, the world, it's a joke to him. The way he said
Adamantium
was the best. Da-da-da. Yeah, that's it. You know, people have criticized this movie as being a direct sequel to The Incredible Hulk. People have commented on the fact that Sam retreads a worse version of his arc in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they are right. But I'm here to add that Brave New World is a sequel that does everything worse. Like I said before, almost 20 years ago, we got The Incredible Hulk, a botched together, trimmed down version of what Louis Leterrier and Edward Norton had envisioned, cut down and stripped of any bite or identity that Norton bounced from the role quicker than Cap's shield bounces off the fractured skulls of fuck-knuckles like me. And I get it, if my movie originally opened with a suicide attempt and Marvel insisted that was not fun enough, not action-packed enough, I would also realize that any attempt at true character depth will always be undermined by the need to appeal to the masses, and like Bruce Banner, I would have pulled the trigger. Point is, yes, it is absolutely a baffling choice to cut down Brave New World to open with a terrible retread of the events of another botched down hack job film and expect the audience to get on board. I, as an obsessive Phase 1 kid, which I bet explains a lot, who rewatched those movies on loop to memorize every line of dialogue, loved Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, yet most of the audience will have no fucking clue who Betty is. Considering, and I could be wrong here, Mark Ruffalo's Bruce has never once mentioned his great love, he has never once shared an actual scene with General Ross. And even if a Ross recast, a recast as cool as Harrison Ford, spews exposition towards us, and I wish I remembered the exact quote, but we were treated to lines in the beginning that are like, my daughter, dramatic pause, Betty.
It was ridiculous.
The film knows that most won't remember shit, yet your emotional investment in Ross's story entirely depends on believing that he genuinely wants to change after Betty said this to him in 2008.
He's a fugitive.
You made him a fugitive to cover your failures and to protect your career. Don't ever speak to me as your daughter again.
And even if the movie has Ross say many a times that he misses her, that he's only staying alive for her to try and fix things, it feels entirely empty because we haven't seen that relationship in a long time, and we have never seen it with Harrison Ford playing the character. A photoshopped, nostalgic photograph he glances at once, a voice on the phone, is not enough to build any kind of emotional weight. Your investment also depends on remembering and Marvel assuming that you remember Stearns getting infected with gamma blood 50 fucking movies ago. Why does he play Mr. Blue to brainwash people, one might find themselves asking? Well, because that was his code name when talking to Bruce Banner 50 fucking movies ago. I did not see Eternals, so I'll assume the adamantium setup came from that, but Jesus, Hulk and Christ, narrative should not be plot refreshers. An audience should be able to follow a character through a struggle without any prior knowledge. Yet why does this movie feel more like an episode of TV than the actual television series? Outside all that narrative dependence, let me remind you of the fact that in 2008, the Hulk action was filmed and crafted far better than it is here. This ain't a case of nostalgia glasses, my guy. I got 20/20 vision and I can see as clear as day. This is a case of craft. If you're listening in the background right now to my annoying ass while you're taking that afternoon shit and scrolling on Reddit like I would, just look, make this shit full screen for 1 second and look at how they filmed this. Louis wanted a never still camera, a constant state of mania, anger, panic, rage boiling. His Hulk versus Abomination battle looks and feels like the damn Godfather compared to the standard schlock we've grown all too accustomed to accepting. A real street, real explosions, real camera moves, real sense of destruction, of stakes, of regret. Why do you think that the MCU has mentioned the fact that Hulk destroyed Harlem 42 times across 52 different projects? Because you felt that shit. You felt that shit not because the writers told you to, but because the action, the filmmaking was specifically designed to make you feel the chaos. Here, once Ross finally hulks out for 5 minutes, you are treated to this.
Since when were they red?
Fabricated violence, no human stakes. Ross is a piece of shit. Why do I care that he destroys the corrupt White House? Why do I give a damn that he's being stabbed by Sam's wings? How am I supposed to feel any sense of scale when every single shot is so clearly created in post? And listen, I'm not talking about the Red Hulk himself, no shit, that will always be CG. I'm talking about the fact that since Ang Lee's take on the character, we have moved further and further and further away from feeling the power of a hulked out character, feeling the childlike rampage of repression. I'm talking about the fact they don't even bother shooting any of it on a real location. This shit is simple. Build the walkway where it used to take Betty. Have actual fake trees, actual design choices that replicate the nostalgic beauty Ross is supposed to be feeling. The emotional crux of the scene, the character should not be artificial. The only thing fake should be Red Hulk himself.
Update, when I was editing this video I saw this shot, which means they did build something, but then why the hell does it look like this? You cannot tell me that what is behind Sam is real.
Guys, I'm about to fucking Hulk out. It's happening. It's happening. What would that look like? The HiTop Hulk out. Fucking butthead. I laughed my ass off when Sam was like, look around, Hulk. Look, look. This is where you used to walk your daughter. And it looks like this.
Dead on the inside, like me.
That didn't work.
I'm not being nostalgia blinded when I say that a massively edited down hack job 17 years ago has more sauce than a massively edited down hack job now. What the fuck are we doing? Brave New World is also a sequel, or rather a plot beat copy of Winter Soldier, yet it does everything Winter Soldier did in 2014 that felt fresh and unique for the genre in a way that feels sanitized and safe in 2025. We open with Cap stylishly jumping out of an airship trying to intervene when the government is at risk of losing crucial yet corrupt information or a MacGuffin from an unknown terrorist. Cap is then placed in a political plot where he reveals the system to be corrupt and controlled by an outside force that was established years ago. The difference? Seeing Steve move like this, fight like this, directed like this was entirely fresh. Gone was the grandiose classical superhero action of the first Avenger in an attempt to show that Steve could work in modern times. The Russos introduced handheld quick cut Jason Bourne movement with Michael Mann inspired pace. Say what you will, and I've said fucking plenty about how they direct the larger scale superhero action, but they fucking killed it when it came to Winter Soldier. They developed a fighting style, a guideline for how to film Steve in a way that proved the character could work in a modern setting. Here, with Sam, it feels like a desperate attempt at recapturing that without understanding why it worked to begin with. It feels like Mackie can barely move in his nanotech purple Wakandan vibranium Ant-Man helmet. Can't even fucking say that shit. Purple Wakandan vibranium Ant-Man helmet costume. There we go. Here, it feels like the genuinely great sound mix this movie has is making up for the generally awful fight choreography and rhythm these beats of action have.
Earn your money. Cash your check.
Here with Sam, it takes him double the runtime to realize he does not need to appeal to the government, does not need to play nice for a seat at the table, does not need to compromise his beliefs in order to be Captain America. Takes him double the time to realize that Captain America is really about standing your ground and fighting with compassion for what you believe in. A lesson Steve instilled, a lesson Sam has already learned time and time again. I repeat, what the fuck are we doing here, man?
Taking money and having fun.
This is also a direct sequel to Falcon and Winter Soldier, a show I unapologetically fuck with still. Say what you will about as we need to do better, but I can't actually suggest anything too radical or they will cut the line entirely speech, but everything up to that point, to me, had a style, a soul that wasn't undone by the connectivity of it all. Brave New World is a follow-up film that lacks every single thing that made that show work for me.
Hello, girl, kick your ass.
The action there, it had an impact. Violence felt like violence and not a stage play. There was power behind it. There's not a single action sequence in Brave New World that is as viscerally executed and thought out as any of these. And look how they shot this. Of course it ended up with the superhero CG polish, but this is insanity. This got me excited about the MCU again, excited about big budget filmmaking, excited about the idea of a fucking Disney Plus show. How do you not try to top that? How come instead you settle for going back to weightless nothingness? And that's not just because for some reason the show could and did feel more adult, not just because Kari Skogland had the directorial sauce, but because most of these fights had tangible stakes behind them. Sam and Bucky brutally taking that shield from John, breaking it off his arm. It was messy, it was raw, it was not cool, it was uncomfortable, and that was the point. The filmmaking reflected the internal struggle of the characters and respected us enough to give the characters to us unfiltered. Kari's direction in that show, the way the camera was used, the way the moments were paced, was not just about creating a vibe, but to put you literally inches away from the titular characters' minds, their thoughts, their soul. The writing took two side characters that got crushed under the weight of the Avengers and spent 6 hours reintroducing them, developing them as human beings outside Steve Rogers. Sam getting denied a loan, Bucky trying to find a way to atone, working on the boat, forming a brotherhood defined by feeling inadequate and empty, defined by being let down by the institution the shield represents. Falcon and Winter Soldier ended with a dialogueless montage that showed so much about where Sam and Bucky were at emotionally, where their hearts lie now, with the people, the individuals who have also been mostly let down by our government. The smile between the two unlikely brothers is defined by the loss of their best friend. Maybe this is who we are. Steve was an icon, perhaps we care about the individual in a way that the icon cannot. In that show, you saw who Sam was fighting for, who his Captain America was meant to inspire, and it worked for me, man.
It was very important to me, and I think to everybody, to explore what it means to be a hero in today's world. If in the past in the MCU being a hero was very much related to being a soldier and being a warrior, the new hero is not that. The new hero is really a first responder.
Brave New World actively, perhaps accidentally, kind of undoes that. Sam is not a first responder here. He's back to being a soldier stuck in the same plot Steve was back in 2014. Here, Sam must answer to a boardroom full of corrupt politicians. He must try to work with them, for them, a part of that very system the show spent most of its runtime denouncing. I repeat, one last time, what the hell are we doing here? How can the movie have a soul when it's terrified to speak? Here is a huge movie that everyone will see, that has had its identity stripped down to the barest of forms. A narrative that most likely once had something charged and powerful to say about a black man being Captain America fighting an orange president who is driven by rage and insecurity, has somehow been malformed into a narrative where the Red Hulk has more of an emotional arc than Captain America himself. Am I supposed to feel bad for Thunderbolt Ross? Why are they trying to make me feel this way? He kept this poor schmuck locked away and would have kept him there. He sent Isaiah to prison and would have allowed him to be executed just to save his own hide. Despite the decaying brain rot of some fans, Captain America Steve Rogers was always fighting against the government, and he never felt the need to apologize for it. Why does Sam have to? Why does Sam feel the need to work with President Ross? Why does he feel the need to encourage a victim, a man who was literally tortured or erased by America, to play nice with his abuser? Hell yeah, man, the president sent us a limo and expensive booze. It's all fucking good, man. Oh my god. You have imagery that at one point might have been powerful. You have this raw idea of the government, the police with guns pointed at one of their biggest victims, manhandling him while he desperately pleads for them not to rough up the suit he married his deceased wife in.
She died while I was in jail. Never let a single one of her letters get to me. They locked them in this box. They told her I was dead.
And instead of focusing on that with any kind of close-up, any kind of uncomfortability, truth, power, we get a standard medium-wide shot that doesn't have the balls to say anything. Later on in the film, once Ross has a change of heart and the government sets Isaiah free, his suit is handed back to him by a fucking IDF soldier insert. It's so middle ground, it's so apologetic, it's preaching unity as if playing nice will allow the hurting and disenfranchised a voice. You don't need a post-credit scene for me to tell you that it won't.
There is no deliberate attempt to speak to the current political situation. It just
What is Sam's arc here? And this isn't me being a dick, this is a genuine question, because I can't figure out what they're trying to say with the character that they haven't already said.
It's starting to feel like a dead end.
Like I always say, this is just my fucking opinion, but I'd like to know, for those of you who liked it, what did you think Sam Wilson's arc as Captain America was? To me, I was asking myself, back to the HiTop voice, what does he desire? What does he learn? What does he gain? Was it originally intended to be a story about him debating taking the super soldier serum? About halfway through, he brings it up as if that's been the internal struggle he's been facing the whole movie, which on paper, I guess makes sense, right? The bad guy, Ross, was trying to recreate the serum with his daughter and Bruce Banner. That indirectly caused the Hulk, indirectly severed his relationship with Betty, and now he is forced to become the monster that he spent years feeling ownership of. Sam, faced with the dilemma of not being strong enough, not being Steve Rogers, which, like I said earlier, I thought was resolved 42 times over in Falcon and Winter Soldier, is faced with what uncontrolled and unchecked strength looks like. He realizes he'd rather be vulnerable and human, connected to his fellow man, than to be a superhuman icon. If that was the idea, in its execution, Sam feels godly. He gets his ass beat, stabbed, pounded on by a Hulk halfway to death, and walks away with an arm sling.
It was ridiculous.
And they keep alluding and reminding us of the fact that Sam used to work as a PTSD counselor, yet he pretty much fails at de-escalating anything. His empathy has always been his character's strength, yet this film spends no time further developing it. Why is Sam stripped of his core belief? Why does he feel like he's regressed back to being a wisecracking side character in his own film? And look, I was never a huge fan of his white costume, but what does it say about their belief in the character when his costume's color is reverted back to that of Steve Rogers? What does it say when every single design choice in Captain America's outfit is lifted from other MCU heroes? Okay, benefit of the doubt. Perhaps they have to bank on the fact that nobody watched the show, so they have to assume a lot of people last saw Sam Wilson in Endgame, a lot of people missed the actual depth, the struggle, and the end assurance of his place as the new Captain America. So instead of a core driving character belief or a new struggle for him to face, we are left with nothing except sprinkles of regression, which seems to be Marvel's favorite topping of late. And I get it, how many times can someone learn their place in the world? How many times can we see the same story of someone understanding the responsibility of heroism again and again? But to me, it's a waste of a wonderful actor, a waste of potential, a waste of our time to dumb Sam Wilson down and not be able to figure out anything emotionally interesting to do with him for fear of seeming too radical. They don't even know who they want to pander to. They don't even know who they don't want to offend, so instead they edited and reshot Brave New World to be the most cowardly, cynical, empty nothing. Trump got shot at, oh boy, let's pour 40 truckloads of cash into stripping down any kind of comparison. Look at this cool shot in the trailer where the leader wearing an American flag hat is clearly about to pull something during Ross's speech. I would assume this is where Ross was originally supposed to Hulk out. Let's cut that shit out, right? Because it might be too relevant, too offensive. We don't want to piss off red hat wearers, right? All this money, all this waste to avoid making any kind of statement about America, to avoid any kind of real life reflection in a movie featuring a black dude playing Captain America. What a sick fucking world. And I feel terrible for Julius Ona, the director, seemingly in name only, of Brave New World. I'm sure he had a vision, like all independent directors Marvel pulls into their pipeline. There are reports of him being pretty much kicked off the project during reshoots. Those reports could be bullshit. But, you know, they say he was in way over his head, and can you blame him? What makes it worse is that this happened to Bro before. Cloverfield Paradox was probably not a Cloverfield movie originally, methinks, and that turned out to be just as empty, just as sauceless and void of life. And that must be the most god-awful feeling in the world, to watch something that was probably once pure, that you were once so invested in, watch something that you wanted to have emotionally impact people, the metaphorical child you spent years raising, making, be stripped of all its bite, its voice, all because the biggest entertainment monopoly in the world is afraid of eliciting any emotional, any real response from us individuals. This, of course, has happened before, and it will happen again, but I'm sick of the most interesting thing about these movies being what went down behind the scenes. Did Ross originally die? Is that why this shot is in the trailer? Is that why Liv Tyler was actually on set at one point, but now seems like she was deep-faked into a scene? What was the statement this film wanted to make? What was its purpose outside consumerism? What was its voice, and why were they so afraid of letting it speak? Why the fuck should I believe or want to believe in a universe that is so consistently terrified to believe in itself? Why should we give a pass to something that ultimately disowns its own soul? Why should we continue to accept films that disrespect artistic craft, genuine creativity, growth, and has the gumption to masquerade as something brave, something new? What world do we live in where this is standard practice, and what world can we possibly dream in where we find this passable? Big budget movies should leave us in awe, all of them, not just a select few. It's not nostalgia. You should not be guilted into believing that you grew up. Most of these, they got worse for the worst reasons. Comic books as an art form were created, they grew, they thrived because the voiceless, they felt heard. And now, too many comic book movies fear that very same voice. And I'm sick of the bullshit bleakness, the consistent apologist consumerist mentality telling those of us who want more to be okay with passable, to be okay with borderline corrupt, to sit by and hope the next one is better. Frankly, fuck the next one. This one was made by hundreds, even thousands of individual artists who all wanted to make something they once believed in. What kind of mentality is that to force complimentary mediocrity? Isn't that disrespect? Isn't that disingenuous? Isn't that the art, the icons, the world we love? Isn't that us losing? I don't know. You tell me. Hey guys, I lost my voice, but this was a lot. This was a lot. I don't know if I've been this passionately rubbed the wrong way by something in a bit. Anyways, I released a huge Jason Indiegogo update. I've seen the comments. You fucking were supposed to release the movie 3 years ago. Where's it at? And all your questions are answered in the community tab, on the Indiegogo page, on any of my social media. I really do appreciate you watching. I do appreciate the viewership, even if my uploads are infrequent. Truth is, I've been going through a lot and been fucking trying to find the passion to make these videos and also work on my feature film full time. It's been hard, to be completely honest, but I still really appreciate those of you who stand by and who support me, and I really do hope that you enjoy Brave New World more than I did, because fuck. All right guys, thank you, bye.